If you're looking for amazing books to read, here are a list of 15 books that you can read this spring. These are all new releases and I am so looking forward to all of these books. The first one that I'm going to start reading this week is The Great Big Beautiful Lie by Emily Henry. It is getting released on the 22nd of April. That is today that I am filming it. I'm also going to be doing a reading vlog, so make sure you follow and subscribe on the channel. This story is about two writers that are trying to compete to get to write a reclusive icon's biography. I think the story is similar to what we have seen before, but I really am interested in seeing Emily Henry's take on this. This is being a talked about release, so I am really excited to read it. I love Emily Henry books, so it is going to be one of the books that is highly anticipated on my list. The next one that I have already read, but if you haven't, you should definitely pick it up, is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez that got released just a few weeks ago. After an unforgettable date, Xavier and Samantha move to different parts of the country and they are trying to see if they can see that spark that was there on their first date last through the ups and downs of life. And it was such an emotional read. I have put up short vlogs on this, so go ahead and read it. I will put a link to the playlist down below. And I've also made my reviews on it and posted them, so check out my reviews if you want. This is one book I would highly recommend. People have been giving it mixed reviews because they're saying it's too contemporary. It is a contemporary romance. Also, they're saying there is too much language about TikTok and also mentions from another series that is very popular on BookTok from Sarah J. Maas. I personally loved it and enjoyed it because I love that series, and that's from ACOTAR. And I really enjoyed hearing about it in this book. If it happens a couple of times, I can see why people were annoyed about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you are DNFing it in the first 10-15% of the book just because of that, you are really missing out on this beautiful love story that happens afterwards. It feels so real to me than most of the other rom-com books that I read, and it is not a rom-com. I will tell you this straight out. It is very emotional, especially if you are dealing with a sick parent, and if you are going through something like that, make sure you check your trigger warnings because this made me cry. So I would definitely recommend looking at the trigger warnings. But if you are just DNFing it for some lingo that has been used from either BookTok or just the language in general, I think you will be missing out on a very beautiful book. So check it out. I hope you enjoy it. The next one is a series that I have still not gotten into, but I really want to get into, and that is The King of Envy by Anna Huang, and that is releasing on April 29th, 2025. This is the 5th book in Anna Huang's King of Sin series, which is beloved and really, really popular on BookTok, and is a series I still haven't read. So I don't know either way, and I'm actually excited to dive into this series because so many people have recommended it to me. It is one of the books on my TBR this spring and summer. The next one is by one of my all-time favorite authors. You can see her books on my shelf behind me, and that is Kennedy Ryan. Her next book in her Skyland series comes out. If you have read Before I Let Go, this is the 3rd book in that series, and I have been waiting for this one. I love her books. I also loved Soledad's story, but this one, I can't wait to get my hands on this. It is about Hendrix, who has a successful career, great friends, and a loving family, but somehow romance is not on her radar as she's focused on caring for an aging parent. Here's where tech mogul Maverick Bell comes into the picture. He's charming, ambitious, vicious, and utterly irresistible. Kennedy Ryan always wows me with all her books, and I can't wait to get my hands on this. This has been a book that I've been waiting on since the time she talked about it, and it releases on 13th of May 2025. The next book on my spring to be read list is The Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Now, I have not read any of the books in this series, so I am really looking forward to diving into the entire series this spring and summer. It released on March 4th of 2025, so if you have already read the previous books in the series, you need to pick this up. It is about a marriage of convenience between Tabitha and Riz, and I adore marriage of convenience stories, so I can't wait to get my hands on this one. I have been waiting to read the entire Rosehill and Chestnut Spring series, but I think I'm gonna get into the Rosehill series first because of this release, and I'm gonna just binge on. This is book 3 in the Rosehill series, and there is book 4 that is expected to release later this year. So I'm definitely excited to binge on this series. The next one is from my absolute favorite fantasy romantasy author, Rachel Gillig. I adore her Shepherd's King duology. It is one of the best book series duologies I have read, and I cannot wait for The Night and the Moth that is going to be released on the 20th of May 2025. This is a book that I am just dying to get my hands on and super excited about this. This is also going to be a duology. This is going to be the first book in the series, and I can't wait to read it. The next book is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. It released 2 weeks ago and was part of her Powerless series. This was her third book in that series. The first one was Powerless, then Reckless, and then Fearless. And it rounds up and ends the series. There is also a novella called Powerful in between. I have read the whole series, and you can read my views on Shorts, and I will put a link to my review down in the description below. I have also created a reading vlog that I was filming as I was reading it in Shorts. If you want to go through that, I will put a playlist for that down below. So if you have read the previous 2 books and are invested in this series, I would recommend reading it because it does answer a lot of the questions that you had in the book 1 and book 2. If you have not read it, I would skip it. I had read it and I really needed to know. So if you are in that same situation, sure, I would recommend you read the last book. But keep in mind, it is very slow-paced and repetitive. The last one, which is on my to-read list, is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. And I keep going back and forth on reading this because I have not read the Hunger Games series, so it is one of the series that I want to pick up. I don't know if this spring I'm going to have that much time to be able to give to this whole series, but if you have read the Hunger Games series, highly recommend this next book. Based on what I have heard from people, it is very emotional. Everyone that I see reading it is just sobbing, so be prepared and go into it. The next one is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. It was released in March of 2025. If you have not yet read the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn, you have to pick it up. This is the 3rd book in the series. There's a book 4 coming out in a few years, so it is not a completed series yet, but this series is phenomenal. There are 3 books already out, and it's just it devours you. The story is beautiful. It is about a girl called Bree who goes to college and then discovers this entire magical world of mages and Arthurian knights, and it is wonderful. The story is so beautifully written. It is emotional. It talks about a lot of heavy subjects, but overall, it is a page turner and you cannot put it down. I have created a longer series talking about it, and I will put the link down in the description below of my playlist as I was reading it. I love this book. The next one is A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen, and this is book 2 in this series. It releases on 13th of May 2025, and I need to read the first book and then I'm going to pick this one up. They are definitely on my TBR. The next book is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. This came out in Feb of 2025 and it is part of the series Emily Wilde's by Heather Fawcett. I have not read this whole series, and the entire series is on my TBR because I have heard this is a very cozy, beautiful, magical series, and I definitely want to get into it. This is the third book in this series, and it has a unique blend of academic fantasy and slow burn romance. I'm always here for a good slow burn romance, so I can't wait to get into this series of books. The next book is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Marrer, and this is a book which is a third book in this installment of Assistant to the Villain series. I love the first two books. They are like a cozy dark fantasy series. It is so enjoyable. It is like a fun, fast read. I had a lot of fun reading it. I loved the main two characters from this book. I also love their found family that they have in the book, so I can't wait for this book to release. It is a very charming story, and I have talked more about the first two books in my previous video, and I'll put a link to that in the description down below. I feel like it is an awesome book for a gloomy, rainy day when you want something to cheer you up. Even though it is supposed to be a dark fantasy, it is very humorous. I love this author's style of writing. It is so funny, and the main MMC, who's supposed to be a villain, is so charming and sweet, and this actual teddy bear under this persona of a villain. So I love his character. I love the way she's written it, and I really enjoyed the first two books. So would definitely recommend getting into this series. The next one is Immortal by Sue Lynn. This came out earlier in spring, and I am really excited in diving into this book. So many people have recommended this book to me. This author's lyrical prose and her ability to weave cultural mythology into her work makes this a very exciting book for me, and I really want to dive into it. The next is The Secret Project by Brandon Sanderson. I am new to Brandon Sanderson. I just read Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I love that book. That was so entertaining. It was cozy and gave me this happy feeling at the end of it. I love Tress so much. It just slowed down a little bit in the middle for me, but I love the world. I love the way he writes about this world, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I can't wait to get into this new book. This is one of his secret projects that he wrote during the pandemic, and it is part of the books where he wrote Tress of the Emerald Sea. The new book is called Isles of Emberdark, and I am really excited that there is a new Brandon Sanderson book because I'm going to start diving into Mistborn soon. It is on my TBR for next month. So very excited that there is a new book coming out that I can dive into. The next book is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage, and this book released earlier on April 15th of this year. I really want to get into this series, and this is book 4 of the Rebel Blue Ranch by Lila Sage. So I've heard so many good things about the previous 3 books that this is definitely on my TBR. And as you know, I adore second chance romances, and this is a second chance romance of Camille, who is left at the altar by her fiance, and to start over, she moves next door to her first love, Dustin. Now, they have a lot of unresolved issues between them, but they also rekindle all those old feelings, and how do they get past everything and get together? That is the story. These are the books that I'm super excited for in spring. And recently I read 8 popular books to see if they were worth the hype. Were they worth the hype? Check it out in this video right here.